Good morning, everyone. Thank you for turning up on this great day. So let's get straight into it. Our first speaker in here is Cameron Jones, and he's going to be talking about the essential plugins that you should install on every website. Cameron is the founder of the premium plugin store Mongoose Marketplace. He's also known for the Mongoose Page plugin, which is used on more than 30,000 WordPress websites. So just a couple there. He lives in the Gold Coast, plays AFL and cricket. So please put your hands together and welcome Cameron to the stage.
Thanks, everyone. This is my essential plugins that you should install on every website. So there's more than 50,000 plugins just on WordPress.org alone, plus who knows how many premium plugins available elsewhere. So it can be a bit hard to figure out, what the best plugins are. So I'm going to give you all a bit of a hand here and give you the ones that I think should be installed on every website. And they're the ones that I install on every website. I've got 10 plus one bonus one. All of them, except for one, are available for free on WordPress.org. So all but one of these you can get totally free. You can download them today while I'm talking if you so wish. A little bit about me. Like Will said, I'm a developer from the Gold Coast. I'm a freelance developer, specialised in WordPress, most obviously. I'm founder of Mongoose Marketplace, which is a WordPress plugin store. So my Mongoose Page plugin is used on 30,000 WordPress websites since I released it 4 years ago. And I'm starting to add some premium plugins to that as well. You can find me online at Cameron Jones Web on all the social networks. I made my first website a long time ago in 2006 with Microsoft Publisher. Don't do that, it's a bad idea. In 2008, I started actually writing code. So I was making Flash games with Adobe Flash, also rest in peace. Finally started writing proper website code in about 2012 when I was in high school. Then I did tertiary education and eventually found WordPress in 2014. Fell in love with it pretty much straight away after being initially skeptical. And since 2015 I've been writing and releasing WordPress plugins. So let's get underway with our plugins. They are in alphabetical order, so I'm not saying that any are particularly better than others, but so these are my essential plugins that should be installed on every WordPress website. First of all, Advanced Custom Fields. So it's developed by Elliot, who lives on the Sunshine Coast, so a nice local Australian developer. So ACF provides a user-friendly interface for letting you store custom data on your website. So if you need to add custom data to products or to pages or that sort of thing, ACF makes this really, really easy. You could have global site options, additional post meta. You could even create your own page builder with ACF. So before Gutenberg came along, that's what I was doing, using the flexible content. You can even create custom Gutenberg blocks with ACF now, which is really cool, and which is one of the ways that I'm making websites now. It's either that or writing them natively, which is also horrible. You can get ACF for free on WordPress.org, or there is a pro version. It's like $100 for a lifetime unlimited license, which is an absolute bargain. So I would definitely recommend getting that if you can. Next up, crop thumbnails. Another one that's available on WordPress.org. So with this plugin, you can control the size and positioning of your thumbnails. So when you upload an image to WordPress, it crops it into multiple different image sizes. And so you've got the defaults are thumbnail, medium, and large. And so if you've got, say, a headshot, and say it's a portrait, and the thumbnail will be a square, and it'll usually crop from the center. So if you upload a photo that's, a portrait headshot, say you take a photo of me while I'm standing up here, when you upload it to WordPress, the thumbnail is going to be about this. So with this plugin, it makes it really easy to just change where the focal point of the cropping is for all the different thumbnail sizes that WordPress generates. So yeah, if you've got photos of people or you need to change where the focal point is on like different image sizes, this plugin is really, really handy and I use it all the time. Enable media replace. So this is another really handy plugin on WordPress.org for managing images. So especially if you're building a new website and you're using placeholders and that sort of thing, this allows you to just do a straight swap with an image. So you've got this placeholder image, for example, and you're using it on 13 different pages, and now you need to change it. And instead of actually going into every single one of those pages and updating your featured image, you can just use this plugin and it'll do a straight swap with the image. So it keeps the same image path and ID. So literally all you're doing is changing what that image looks like. And it makes it so much easier if, like, say, you've got an image that, has, it has to be replaced, like it's got a typo in it and you need to do a quick change and it needs to be updated everywhere. This plugin makes it really, really easy. And I use it all the time, especially when I'm developing sites, like using placeholder images and then swapping them out and that sort of thing. So yeah, definitely recommend this. Again, you can get this for free on WordPress.org. Next up is Gravity Forms. This is the only one that you can't get on WordPress.org. And if you don't recognize that logo, it's because they just did a rebrand and I'm still not used to it either. So Gravity Forms is most likely the most powerful form plugin that is available. You could do just about anything with it, although their front-end styles leave a little bit to be desired. You could do anything from a simple contact form to setting up like an entire e-commerce setup just with this form plugin. It's really powerful. You can do just about anything with it, and it's my go-to form plugin. And of course, I put it on every website. So next up is Smosh. So this is one of the WPMU Dev plugins. So what Smosh does is it will optimize and compress your images when you upload them. So you've probably had websites with tons of images and it takes forever to load because your images have a lot of like metadata and that sort of thing, which is not part of the image, but it is still taking up space in that image. And so you can have an image that it might only be this big, but it could be still several megabytes in size, and so it'll slow your site down. So what this does is it strips out all the unnecessary data and makes your images as small as possible when you upload them, so that your website will be as fast as possible. Next up is Stream. So this is a plugin which will monitor what happens in the admin. So if you've ever worked on, had a site that has multiple people working on it, and you've wondered who did that, who deleted that post, or who published that post. Like WordPress does tell you some of the things, like in revisions, but it doesn't tell you everything. This gives you a really accurate, detailed log of everything that happens in the admin area. So if you get hacked, you can see exactly what they did. If someone deletes a post or updates a plugin and it breaks your site, you can see who did that, when they did it, like what IP address they're on, pretty much anything that you need to know about what's happening in your admin, Stream will tell you. So even if you're the only one on your site, I'd still recommend you have it, just in the rare chance that you get hacked or lose access to the site or something. Next is Updraft Plus, which is, in my experience, the most reliable backup plugin there is. So there's a gazillion options for backup plugins, as I'm sure you are probably aware. But for me, this is the one that seems to work 99.9% of the time. It's really simple. It's really easy to create backups. You can also send them to external storage, such as Dropbox or Google Drive. You can set up scheduled backups so it could run daily, weekly, hourly, every minute if you so desire. So this is my favorite backup plugin, and as I'm sure Tim up the back will remind you, you should always have a backup, and especially having one that goes to external storage in case something happens to your server and not just your website. Next up is Wordfence, and we even have a Wordfence rep here. So, hi, Stephen. Wordfence is, in my opinion, the best security plugin out there. It will protect your website from common exploits, brute force attacks. It scans your themes, plugins, and WordPress core against the repository to see if files have been changed that shouldn't have been. And just all around, it's the best security plugin, in my opinion. Certainly has a better interface than most of the other competitors. Yeah, it's free on .org, and there's also premium subscriptions as well, where you can get upgraded firewalls and plus personal like hack cleaning and that sort of thing from the Wordfence team. WordPress persistent login. So I don't know if you guys will have noticed, but on the login screen, there's a checkbox that says "Remember me." It usually lasts like a day, and then it forgets you. And it really annoys me. Like if I say, remember me, I want to actually be remembered. This plugin makes it remember you. So it stores your login like on that computer in that browser indefinitely. I'm sure there is like some sort of limit, but I'm not sure what that is. It's a very long time. So when you log in, you don't have to keep logging in over and over and over again. And so, yeah, it doesn't matter what type of website you're managing, well, WordPress obviously, but this will come in really handy. Saves me, those 2 minutes that it takes for me to view the login screen, pull my password in from my password manager, log in, don't have to worry about that. You're logged in when you view the site. It's so great. And this should be the last one, Yoast SEO. So Yoast has tons of options. It was originally a SEO tool for your website, and it's grown into so much more now. So it provides all the options you need to just control how your website displays in search results, so you can update your titles and meta descriptions, XML sitemaps, all that sort of thing. You can also get content analysis. So when you're writing, it will tell you like how easy your content is to read and that sort of thing. And you can also disable or enable some of the less used features like attachment pages. Some of you might not even know that's a thing, but when you upload an image, it creates a page on your website for that image. I've used that on one site that I've built. Yeah, so you really don't need that. Author archives, date archives, that sort of thing. It's pretty rare that you're going to use that sort of thing, and Yoast means that you just have to click a button and they're disabled because most websites don't need them. So those are my 10 essential plugins that should be on every website, and I have a bonus one for the devs in the room. So this one is Query Monitor. So you're probably not going to use this on a live site unless something's gone really wrong. But if you're developing a website locally, this plugin is like the Swiss Army knife for local development. It provides you with insight into the SQL queries, into what hooks are available on the page, what functions have run, what template parts have been included, just about anything that you need to know to debug your website. This plugin will tell you. So you've got your essential plugins now, and I'm sure some of you are thinking, well, wouldn't it be great if I could put them all on my website at once? Like you could just go in and create your new website and then go and search for all your plugins, upload the files, that sort of thing. You're talking half an hour or so that it's going to take. What if it could be made a whole lot easier? Well, I'm here to tell you that you can. So if you host with a host that uses Plesk, so Kinetics, for example, one of the sponsors for this weekend, they use Plesk for their web servers. It's like cPanel if you're used to that, but in my opinion, it's better. So their WordPress toolkit has a thing called sets, and it allows you to create preset setups for WordPress. So you can include a whole bunch of plugins or themes by default. And so you could view that the article that they have on that with that really long URL, or you could just Google it. You'll probably find it quicker. Additionally, and the method that I've used in the past is a service called WP Core. So what that does is it allows you to go online and create a collection of plugins, and then they have their own plugin. You install that on the website, put in the collection that you want to install, and it'll just install all those plugins. It's free to use if you want to include plugins from WordPress.org. If you want to add some custom ones, like say Gravity Forms, which is only a premium one, then you're going to have to pay for a subscription. But for the most part, this is a really good service, and I'd recommend you use it if you want to. So if you want to view the slides, they should be up on that URL there. I made a collection of those plugins, except for Gravity Forms, obviously, because I haven't paid for it. Available on that second URL there. And thank you all for coming to my essential plugins.
Thanks very much, Cameron. Does anyone have any questions for Cameron about all these plugins? I'm sure people have lots of questions about plugins.
Yeah, you got questions.
Thanks, Cameron. It's not one of the plugins that you've spoken about, but is there a good plugin to put like an Instagram carousel on your website or something like that, that automatically updates as you put your more pics on Instagram?
There is a good Instagram one I've used in the past. I think it was by Smash Balloon. I've only used it like once or twice, but I think that's the one that I've used. Yeah. 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 You can use my plugin for Facebook there.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not like sure on the name of the plugin, but it's by Smash. I'm pretty sure the Instagram one. It's called Mongoose Page Plugin. It used to be called Responsive Facebook Page Plugin, but then Facebook yelled at me, so I had to change it. I was changing it anyway because I was rebranding everything under the new Mongoose Marketplace branding, but yeah. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
That persistent login plugin.
Yep.
A problem I've noticed with having to do that annoying relogin thing is if I'm doing something on my computer and then I want to do something on my phone and then I want to do something on my tablet, there's a lot of logins that seem to happen. Is that persistent login plugin helpful for that, or is there no solution for that problem?
Yeah, there's not really a solution for trying to log in on multiple devices at once, but like the good thing is, like, if you log in once, then it keeps you logged in. So like, sure, you have to log into your phone and you log in on your computer, but you only have to do that once on all your devices, so
Awesome.
It is still helpful.
Thank you.
I have a WordPress site. I do not have a plugin because I don't really know what plugins are. So, when you started talking about the 10 essential ones, I thought, what are these?
Yeah.
But one that you mentioned is Smosh.
Yeah.
And that sounds really promising for the travel blog.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more, like a couple of step-by-steps, instead of assuming that we all have the meta language that you've been talking about for the past half hour? Thank you.
Well, so
Beginner, remember?
if you have your WordPress site and you've got the admin, and on the left-hand side you've got that menu, you go plugins, and then under plugins it'll have add new, and it'll take you to a screen which looks like that. And on the top right it'll have a search box, and so you just type in Smosh or whatever the plugin is that you want to install, and then it'll change the list that's there. Then you click the install button, which is where that is there, and that'll install it, and then once it's installed, that button will change to activate, and that plugin will be enabled. Most of these plugins, like Smosh for example, it's just plug and play, so once it's activated, it's working. There are some additional settings that you can configure, but most of these are just plug and play, like persistent login. Like you just activate it and it's working. You don't really have to worry about doing anything else to set it up.
Okay, so when I'm just downloading photo or uploading photos, then does Smosh take care of it, or do I have to do something?
It takes care of it in the background. So as you upload the photo, it uploads it. Yeah. When you upload it to your server, it then sends it out to their setup, which will compress it, send it back to your website with the compressed version, and that's all happening in the background while it's uploading. You don't have to worry about anything.
One minute. So that has nothing to do with the size of the image that you select on your actual WordPress. You know how it has large and small. So does that have to change? Like you just have it
It will compress and optimize all those different sizes of it. Yeah.
Would it work on the language or
Sorry?
if you've already got hundreds of hours on the site, would it automatically adjust those as you go?
You do have to go through and do those. Like there's like when you upload them, it'll do them automatically. But if you already have images in your media library, there is a button which says like scan library or something, and it will go through like your whole library and do them all systematically as well. Yeah.
I'm very new to WordPress as well, and I haven't actually ever downloaded a plugin, so I was glad for your questions. Thank you. In the event that there are plugins that have similar features to each other, so if you had 2 or more plugins and one of them had something doing compressing of images, etc., and then another plugin which you had because it did A, B, and C, but it happens to also do something with images, how does that work as far as, does it really matter whether one plugin's trying to do something with your images and the other one's trying to do something similar? Do they ever clash, and does that cause errors or issues? Or do they just know how to work with each other and they're friendly?
Yeah, so the like plugins are meant to work like regardless of any of the other plugins that are installed on the site. Like that's like a best practice for building plugins. So they shouldn't clash. Like there might be something. It's really going to be a case-by-case basis, but they shouldn't clash. But if they are doing very similar things, like you probably only really want one plugin doing one thing. Like I worked on a site once that had like 3 different translation plugins. Like the site took 30 seconds to load page, which is ridiculous. So don't go like installing plugins that do the same thing because there's no real point. But if you've got plugins that do like similar things, there really shouldn't be any conflicts. And if there are, well then you can tell the plugin developers to fix it.
So they don't have the option to sort of like say disable a certain element within the plugin if it. I'm assuming most plugins probably do one main thing as opposed to many things, but there's not an option to actually just disable certain features.
It's all a case-by-case basis, so there's no real like default setup for plugins. Like they've all got their own settings. So some of these plugins that I've featured have settings. Some of them are really complicated, like ACF and Yoast. They've got million options, and there are other ones like system login where you just activate it and it does the thing. So yeah, it really depends on the plugin.
Thank you.
Probably worth mentioning some of the people too that one of the big driving things is the star ratings and last update. So it's got a really low star rating and been updated lately. It's right on their quality funding. So the higher stars and the amount of people who use it and how last updated it's been on that good fun to use.
I always wonder how they do it at the very beginning when businesses first get launched. Notice that they need a certain amount of people who genuinely download and use it and then rate it. But that obviously is given a disincentive in the beginning. It's new and nobody's really used it yet.
Talk about retail side,
Yeah, like the way that for my plugin that I got a lot of my reviews was I added a nag to the admin area, so there would be a little bar up the top of some of the pages that would say, hey, you're using my plugin. If you think it's great, can you leave me a review? And since I removed that, I've had like 2 reviews in like the past 2 years. So yeah, that's the way I got most of my reviews. It's not really a recommended way of doing it, but yeah, most people aren't going to leave a review unless they're given a reason to, unfortunately. Yeah, it is challenging, especially if you have a really new plugin, like to get new people, but by like paying attention to like the sort of things you want to be found for, and like being smart about like the descriptions that you write on your plugin, so like the README and that sort of thing, and like focusing on like what you would expect people to find your plugin for. It's like doing SEO, but for the plugin repository.
So this is probably applies to a lot of different things, but
If the plugins are free, if plugins are free, then is there certain features that are paid features? Otherwise, why develop something that's free? How do you? Not that I'm a plugin, developer, obviously, but why would you develop something that's free? What's in it for them?
It's a good question.
They have other products, and it's like a companion product or something.
Yeah.
Get them in the door and then advertise or something like that.
Yeah. It's a good question. It's a very loaded question.
Sorry, that's the naivety coming out there.
Yeah. So yeah, some of these
just like it because it's free is probably the best answer.
Yeah, some of these are totally free, no strings, no nothing, and some of them, yeah, they've got a free version, and ideally they would upsell you to the premium version, which has additional features and that sort of thing. Like for me, I released my first plugin 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. I'm getting old. And so I was building a website for my uncle. I wanted to add a Facebook feed to it. I just decided to build it myself, and I'm like, hey, this is cool. I might release this to everyone else to use. And so, open source is an ethos. Like it's more than just like a license. So some people believe that all code should be free. Some people isn't. Some people believe that all code should be free. Some people just put everything up there just for the benefit of the community. Some people do it because it's just a hobby. So some plugins are totally free. Some are the freemium model where there's pro versions. It's a case-by-case basis. I do get frustrated with how hard it is to actually monetize stuff on WordPress.org, but it depends on the plugins.
Any more questions?
Thank you. The Gravity Forms plugin, the information that collects, where is that stored?
It stores it in the WordPress database. So it adds a couple of custom tables to your database. And whenever anyone submits a form, it records all their entries.
And then the access to those tables, is that just a database grab, or how do you get access to that?
It adds a menu item in the WordPress admin, and so you've got your forms that you can create, and then you've got entries. So you can go into the entries and see every time that form was submitted, and it'll show you like everything that each person put in.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
Any more questions? No? All questioned out? That's great. Okay, well, please give Cameron another thanks for his presentation. If you do have other questions, then I'm sure Cameron will be hanging around, so please grab him and just go up to him and chat to him, connect to him, and ask him some awkward questions, which will be good.
Yep, I'm here all weekend.
Here all weekend.
Don't be shy.